Wi-Fi attacks target the wireless medium to intercept data, gain unauthorized network access, or disrupt service. Unlike wired networks, Wi-Fi signals travel through walls and public spaces, making the physical layer accessible to anyone with a high-gain antenna. How Wi-Fi attacks function. Conceptual overview. Wi-Fi attacks exploit wireless signals, protocol vulnerabilities, device misconfigurations, or user behavior. Because Wi-Fi is broadcast through the air, a nearby attacker can intercept, modify, or disrupt communication without touching any cables. Below are the major technical mechanisms behind Wi-Fi attacks. 1. Wireless eavesdropping, packet capture. In a passive attack, the attacker does not interact with the network. They simply set their wireless card to monitor mode to capture packets passing through the air. Packet sniffing. Using tools like Wireshark or AeroDumpNG, an attacker collects data frames. If the network is unencrypted, public Wi-Fi, they can see plain text traffic. +1 analysis. Even with encryption, attackers can perform traffic analysis to determine which devices are connected and how much data they are consuming. How it functions. Wi-Fi frames travel unencrypted in the air unless protected by WPA2/WPA3. An attacker in radio range can listen to those signals. With older protocols, WEP, Open Wi-Fi, traffic is readable. With modern WPA2/WPA3, eavesdropping is extremely limited unless other weaknesses are introduced, misconfiguration, weak passwords, etc. What attackers target. Unencrypted HTTP traffic metadata, SSIDs, MAC addresses, frame timings. Defense. Use WPA2/WPA3 plus HTTPS everywhere too. Wi-Fi de-authentication/disassociation attack, management frame abuse. The attacker sends de-authentication frames to a specific device, pretending to be the router. This kicks the user off the Wi-Fi. Why? This is often used to force a device to reconnect so the attacker can capture the WPA handshake, the cryptographic exchange used to log in, or to drive the user toward an evil twin. How it functions. Wi-Fi uses management frames, DISASSOC, that historically were not authenticated, except in WPA3 and WPA2 PMF enabled. An attacker can send forged DISASSOC frames pretending to be the router or client. This forces devices to disconnect, causing service disruption opportunity to force a reconnect handshake chance to trick user into connecting to rogue AP defense, WPA2/WPA3 protected management frames, PMF. 3. Evil twin attack, rogue access point. An attacker sets up a Wi-Fi hotspot with the same name, SSID, as a legitimate network, example Starbucks_Wi-Fi. The trap. Users' devices automatically connect to the stronger signal. The payload. Once connected, the attacker performs a man-in-the-middle, MITM, attack to steal credentials or inject malware. How it functions. The attacker broadcasts a fake AP with same SSID as a legitimate network. Many devices automatically connect to strong signal familiar SSIDs. Once the victim connects, attacker can perform MITM capture unencrypted DNS/HTTP potentially force downgrades or phishing pages. Defense. Disable auto-connect validate captive portal certificates. Use VPN on public Wi-Fi. 4. Captive portal phishing/fake login pages. How it functions. When connected to a rogue AP, victim is shown a fake login page. Because many public Wi-Fi networks use portals, users are accustomed to seeing them. Attackers use this to steal credentials. Defense. Never enter passwords into public Wi-Fi captive pages, except hotel codes, etc. 5. WPA/WPA2 Key Attacks, handshake capture plus offline guessing. WPA2 handshake cracking. After capturing a four-way handshake, via a DISASSOC attack, the attacker takes the data offline to run a brute force or dictionary attack against the password hash. Important, this section does not explain how to perform attacks. How it functions conceptually. When a device joins a WPA/WPA2 network, it performs a four-way handshake. That handshake can be recorded passively from the air. Because WPA2 PSK security depends on password strength, an attacker can perform offline password guessing completely offline. If password is weak, 1234567 Starbucks 123, it can be discovered. Note, WPA3 resists this with SAE handshake, anti-offline guessing. Defense, strong passphrase WPA3 where possible. 6. KRACK-type protocol flaw exploits, key reinstallation attacks, a sophisticated vulnerability in WPA2 that allows an attacker to reset the key used to encrypt traffic, potentially decrypting sensitive data without needing the password. How it functions. Simplified Wi-Fi protocols sometimes reuse encryption keys under specific edge cases. Attackers manipulate handshake messages to force key reuse. Rightward arrow weakens encryption. Defense, firmware updates WPA3, fixes crack at protocol level. 7. WPS PIN Attack, design weakness, it is also known as WPS pixie dust. It targets the Wi-Fi protected setup, WPS, PIN feature. If enabled, an attacker can crack the 8-digit PIN in seconds, granting them the actual Wi-Fi password. How it functions: WPS uses an 8-digit PIN. It validates halves of the PIN separately. Rightward arrow reduces effective combinations dramatically. Attackers can perform brute force attacks against vulnerable routers. Defense: disable WPS entirely. 8th. Wi-Fi jamming, radio interference attack. How it functions: Wi-Fi uses unlicensed 2.4/5 GHz bands. Attackers flood the airwaves with energy, blocking legitimate frames. This is not hacking, it is pure physical layer interference. Defense: move to 5 GHz/6 GHz. Use directional antennas. Regulatory enforcement: jamming is illegal in most regions. 9. Client-side Wi-Fi attacks, roaming and probe requests. Devices periodically send probe requests searching for known networks. How attack works conceptually: attacker listens for probes, looking for home network, Android AP, Starbucks Wi-Fi, rogue AP. Broadcasts one of these names. Device auto-connects. Rightward arrow attacker gains MITM position. Defense: disable auto-connect. Keep known networks list. Clean summary: how Wi-Fi attacks function. Wi-Fi attacks primarily leverage layer. How attacks function: physical layer jamming, eavesdropping, MAC/management frames, De-authentication, disassociation, spoofing, association/authentication, rogue AP, evil twin, cryptographic handshake, WPA2 handshake capture, KRACK-type flaws, configuration weaknesses, WPS, open networks, user behavior, phishing, Wi-Fi portals, auto-connect protocol flaws, unauthenticated management frames, legacy WEP/WPA failures. Summary table of Wi-Fi security protocols. Protocol security level: common vulnerability, WEP obsolete, can be cracked in minutes using statistical analysis tools. WPA deprecated, vulnerable to TKIP exploits and handshake sniffing. WPA2 standard, vulnerable to handshake cracking and crack. Requires strong passwords. WPA3 modern, highly secure, uses Dragonfly Exchange to prevent offline cracking. How to protect your network. 1. Use WPA3, if your router supports it, enable WPA3 SAE. 2. Disable WPS, this is the single most common entry point for amateur script kiddie attacks. 3. Strong passwords, handshake cracking fails if your password is long, complex, and not in a dictionary. 4. Use a VPN, especially on public Wi-Fi. A VPN ensures your data is encrypted even if the Wi-Fi itself is compromised.